Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. How are y'all today? How are y'all today? Good? Okay. So, before we start today's session, let's see. Anyone who is new on my left? Okay, I'm not considered new lah. Are you considered new? No lah. On my right, I think we have somebody new. Hello. Tell us your name and how you got to know about this group.
My name is Maureen.
Sorry?
My name is Maureen.
Maureen.
Yeah. Came to know about this through one of my someone's recommendation.
One of your?
My mom's friend to come over here.
Oh, your mom's friend told you to come here.
They give it a try.
Okay, I see. Welcome. And I presume your mom's friend is not here? Huh? She is? Oh, this one is your mom's friend. And your mom is not here?
Okay.
Okay. Good, welcome. Who else is here for the first time? Have you introduced before? I think you came here before, right?
Yeah.
Heart Sutra. Oh, okay. Well, maybe you can introduce yourself. Tell us your name. Vicky. Okay. And who is the cute little girl with you? How old are you? Let her answer. What is her name? What is her name? Onamae wa? Shaila. Oh. Okay. Give them a round of applause. Welcome. Who else is here for the first time? I think the rest have been here before. Okay, so welcome to SGC, where we have short puja, short meditation, and not so well. Nowadays, I'm making it shorter. Dharma sharing. So your mom's friend asked you to come. So why did she ask you to come?
Can experience something, can learn something from the session.
Okay. And you want to learn something? Okay. Welcome. So today's topic came about because last week there was this day that everybody started posting happy birthday. Yeah, did you all notice last week? Suddenly everybody posts happy birthday. So I remember that when I was a kid, there was no such a thing. Then one year, suddenly my mom said that, this day we must do this or do that or something lah. And then that on that day is everybody's birthday. And because never heard of it since young, suddenly out of the blue, I think I was already in my 20s. Yeah, then suddenly temples started celebrating it also. Yeah, don't know where it come from. Anyway, then on this day, you see a lot of people having a second yusen, yeah, or eating 7 kinds of vegetables and things like that. So this year is no different. Did you all celebrate Renri? How many of you celebrated? So what was the significance of the celebration? Or how long have you all been celebrating? How long? For many years, since young? Not too sure. Only last few years. From what I recall, it's not too long ago as well. So I have some inkling onto the origin, so I decided to have a session on this to clarify. You'll notice that Chinese New Year, I also post Chinese New Year, but the 人日 you all post like crazy, and then some of you send privately to me, but I never even respond. I'm quite particular in this sense about certain things. In this case, just put it here. In this case, what is this thing about 人日 Human Day? So as you can see, I wrote down over here, 女娲造人. Yeah, 女娲造人. So have you all heard of the word 女娲? Oh, all of you heard of it, lah? How many of you have not heard of it before? So don't worry. Long time ago, many thousand years ago, in the early days, the word 女娲 actually is part of the Chinese culture. Yeah, legend has it. There's this belief that in the early days, there was this being called 女娲. 女娲 and another guy, yeah, the two of them. So 女娲 is supposed to have created human being on the 7th day. Yeah, this is not Hunan, this is human. Yeah. So, you know, 初七, then it's 人日, right? Yeah, it's actually linked to this 女娲造人. So if you were to go and search, which I did, I look at different sources. In the end, I settled down with Wikipedia. So apparently at Jing Cao and even earlier, Shang Cao, a lot of things happened around Shang Cao. So there were this notion, yeah, and there were two Chinese texts, not Buddhist texts, two Chinese texts that actually mention about this. Yeah, so this is an ancient Chinese belief, and the belief is that this 女娲 created chickens on 正月初一, 正月初二 created dogs, 正月初三 created balls or pig, 初四 sheep, 初五 fifth day of the Chinese New Year, cows, and then number 6 horses. And on the 7th day, created human beings. Yeah. So, I see so many people copying things. When Sifu talk about impermanence, 12 links of dependent origination, nobody copy. This kind of thing don't need to copy. This is the part which I'm trying to highlight. This is not Buddhism. 你们跟外道法还是比较相应的。So I titled today's session "Human Day and the Origin of Human." Yeah, because of this, and this is also why I don't reply to these well wishes. Yeah, because I don't subscribe to this. Yeah. For some reason, even last time when my mom told me, "Oh, today is everybody's birthday," I'm like, "Okay, but what is the basis?" Yeah. Even as a lay person last time, I was quite particular about having rhyme and reason. Yeah. You don't kind of tell me somebody tell you pass down, then you expect me to accept it. So why don't I accept this? And but not to suggest that that you committed a crime for celebrating 人日 or something. Yeah, but rather to explore why this is what this is to begin with, and perhaps in a larger scope, what about other civilizations? Yeah, other countries, other cultures. Mm. Do they have similar stories of the origin of human? Yeah, because this celebration is basically recognizing and suggesting that there is an origin of human being. Yeah. Uh, so there are a lot of details in the story. I used the word legend earlier, but I correct myself. I'd rather not use the word legend. Yeah, legend just means that it's a story passed down from a long time ago, but oftentimes have a connotation that is not true. I'm not suggesting it's true. I'm saying I don't know enough to say whether it's true or not. So when we don't know enough, and then we call it a legend, a myth, yeah, then it is imposing our opinion already. What we know is that Chinese have this notion. As a matter of fact, even before Renri was common in Singapore, there was one time when I think, in secondary school, we went to Sentosa as a family. Yeah, and then when Amma was still around, we went to Sentosa, and there was this huge multimedia display when multimedia was a thing back then, and there was this video show, and they talk about 女娲, yeah, and they talk about how, oh, there's this legend, and then you have that voiceover sound thing, long time ago, a few thousand years ago, ancient Chinese believed that, what, and it was basically that 女娲created human beings, yeah, a lot of things, among others. At that point in time, while I was in secondary school, I was already quite clear about what Buddhism is and where I stand as far as religion is concerned. Then I was like, really, is there such a belief? Yeah, and how can that be acceptable for Buddhists? Yeah, but I realized that for many Buddhists, it is quite okay. Yeah, it's quite okay. If you tell a Buddhist that some about the belief of some other God creating earth and creating the world, cannot accept. But 女娲, Chinese one, can. To me, this is double standard. If you reject creation, you must reject all creation. You cannot say, oh, this one, the one Western one, yeah, the one don't speak Chinese, I don't accept. This one creation, but described in Chinese words, I accept. No, that is wrong. Yeah, that's wrong. It is said that 女娲at some point patched heaven. So the whole story of 女娲, right, is not simply about creation, but it also describes the worldview. Yeah, the worldview. And it's quite closely tied to, I think, to some extent, 道德经, because some of the text references both 道德经, the word 道 and 德, yeah, and then mention about 女娲. Yeah, so some things sometimes is one thing to say, don't be so picky, but once you accept one part, you must know that it comes as a system of beliefs. Yeah, then you cannot simply cherry pick and say, oh, I accept this part, then that one nothing to do with me. Yeah. So Chinese have this belief. Yeah. So now you know. Maybe I should have shared this before Chinese New Year. Remind me, next year Chinese New Year, before Chinese New Year, I will share this. So in future, no other temple will invite me for Renri. Personally, I don't really care, Yeah, I really don't care about whether people invite me for Renri, because it's not a Buddhist thing to begin with. Why are we celebrating this? Yeah. 在戏啊？啊？ Well, I have great respect for many of the senior monks, but if it's not a valid practice, it's not a valid practice. Yeah. So beyond at this point, any of you have any thoughts about 人日? Any thoughts?
I think it's a cultural thing, it's a Chinese culture, so it's not religious, it's not just Chinese celebrate.
Yes.
So it's just like Christmas.
Yeah, that's the problem. We Chinese will celebrate anything that comes along. As long as there's food, there's drink, and there's presents, can. Yeah, and that's why I want to highlight this. We are a bit too compromising. Yeah.
No, we are accommodating.
Accommodating, sure. And that's why we don't get enlightened. Yeah. I mean, I don't say I'm perfect, but you do raise a very important point, which is that Chinese are quite capable to celebrate things without really caring about the full implications. Yeah. 人日 can oh, Lao Yisan, what's the thing about it? Good luck. Okay, can. Yeah.
As long as it's like show respect to elders and you please the elders, so it's fine. So if they want Lao Yuxiang, we just Lao Yuxiang, it's fine.
Yes.
If they want to eat the qiyang cai, then we just eat the qiyang
Yeah.
cai. It's fine. It's a respect for the elders, the traditional Chinese culture.
Yeah. That's why I'm able to become a monk, because 不孝有三，无后为大. If I respect everything, then you will not see me here. Yeah, there were other monks who told me, 孝顺，要顺从才名字为孝。你不顺从，你怎么可以称为孝？假了。But to me, if you look at the history of Buddhism, there were a lot of very key masters who, in a way, disobeyed their parents. Disobeyed in the sense that the parents want them to get married, parents want them to take over. Like Buddha himself, the father want him to take over the throne, he disobeyed him. Yeah, but for the records, I'm not advocating disobedience, in young children, okay? Yeah. But so as a result, then perhaps we are quite accommodating, and perhaps even too accepting to me. So we may go further and say, how about Christmas? Yeah. How about the burning of incense paper? Shifu, you ever mentioned before that while it is not a Buddhist practice, you don't directly say that it's wrong to do it also. So this is where I would say, I agree with you. No problem to have to Lao Yusen as long as you don't go and kill some being to Lao, but to change our mindset. To change our mindset. In what sense? It's just like when you burn incense paper. If you burn with the thinking, it's one thing that our parents believe, or our grandparents have the belief that, after dying, 死了做鬼, after dying we will become ghosts. So, and then as a ghost, you need money, pocket money, you need money to go and bribe the guards, you need money to do this and that. This is a Chinese thing. Chinese, very practical. Yeah. It's one thing that our parents have such belief. It's another thing to say, and because they have such belief, we go along with them and say, okay, burn a bit lah. It's another thing to actually, on our own, accept this, and to do it, fold the paper money, thinking, 阿公有得用. And then later when we bring our child, 7月, and then tell our children also. Our children maybe ask us, mommy, how come we we have to do this? Teachers say that it's polluting the environment. And then we tell our children, shh, don't anyhow ask. Later Akong not happy. Akong need the money, okay? Yeah. And this paper credit card burn, quickly burn. Akong give me a dream that day. The sub card already run out. Yeah, exceeded the limit already. Burn this new one, prepaid. Yeah. I have ever gone to some wakes to perform memorial service, and my student invited me specifically to try to convince the mother not to do paper money. So when I arrived, sure enough, the mother, the auntie, they were all sitting there folding paper money. And when I arrived, the mother and the auntie saw me and then a bit 尴尬 kind of look, that,师父,师父. Then I look at them and I address them, and then I acknowledge what they are doing. Oh, Ji Kim Zua. And then like, because I'm sure the student have told the mother before, and perhaps even tell the mother, 师父 said this is not Buddhist practice, probably. But you know what I did? I sat down with them and I said, Ji Kim Zua, who? And then the student was like, Yeah, but I qualify it. I told them it's good because you care for your husband who has passed away. Yeah, you want to do something for him. But I told the mother, I said, do you know that when you fold the paper money, if you fold a certain way, there is merits, there's 功德. If you fold a certain way, then there's no 功德. Then so, really? How? Why? If I go in guns blazing and say, you waste your time, for all this, nothing. Then I think they will just, and then just turn around and fold. Yeah, but instead, they were ready to listen. And I told them, when you are folding paper money, if you, on one hand, fold paper money, on the other hand, chit-chat, gossip, and then talk about this auntie, that other, whoever's daughter lah, that person's her brother, son-in-law lah, like this lah, like that lah. Then I say, then while you are folding, you actually create more demerit. There's no merit in your folding. And I told them, if you are folding, you pay attention, you think of your husband with loving kindness, with compassion, and then you do some chanting. Then while you are doing this, there's merit. But also don't fold so much. Also, 一个心意就好了. Then they can more or less accept. Then they can accept. So similarly, if we talk about, let's say, people celebrating Renru, it's important to highlight that we Buddhists actually don't subscribe to such a belief. But if you want to celebrate and if you want to eat the vegetables, can eat vegetables, no problem. You're not saying eat 7 kind of animal. If you insist on 7 kind of animal, I say can, you go back home and eat. I don't eat with you. Yeah. So, then we go into the principle itself. Yeah, the origin of human. We say that we don't subscribe to this belief. But if you consider all the different civilizations and races, all the different nations, almost all cultures have some story of origin. They only differ in terms of the source, the being, or divinity that is responsible for creation, whether it's one or many, the nature of creation, the methods of creation, what was created, and so on and so forth. But there is always some story. So what about Buddhism? Instead of me telling you all everything, why don't you all tell me what you think is the story of origin of human beings in Buddhism. Then it becomes more interesting. Then you see all the colorful story. Do you know of any story of creation or origin? Hang on. Actually, just now, I shouldn't have made all those statements first. Yeah, no matter what you all believe or think, you all don't dare to say anything now. Yes.
I ever read a Buddhist book that
Ah.
the origin of human is like there's some heavenly beings. Don't know because of what, then come down to earth. Then they add something or what, then they can't manage to go back to heaven, so they stay on earth.
So, some people attribute that sutra as the origin of human beings. So, how does it go? It has to do with our worldview. By now, you all should be very familiar. We have the different heavenly state. So we have the formless realm, and then we have the form realm, and then we have the sensual desire realm. So 无色界、色界、欲界. So we have these three sphere. Is it? Sorry? Oh, sorry. Yes. Yes. 欲界、色界、无色界. So within this, then there is another categorization. This categorization is perhaps not so familiar for many people. For you all should be quite familiar. The one that most people are familiar with is what we call the six realms. This is what we call the three spheres of existence, 三界. Then we have 六道. So we have 天, and then so 天 itself would cover up to let me see, maybe I should use another color here. 天 itself covers up to here. So there's a section in sensual desire realm that is under heavenly states. Yeah. Then the rest you have 人啦, you have 阿修罗啦, yeah, you have the asuras, you have the 畜生、恶鬼、地狱, and so on. So you have all the six realms covered within this. Yeah. And then you have additional heavenly realms, which is in the form and formless. And within form and formless, each of them can be split further into four. One, two, three, four. Okay. So first jhana, second jhana, third and fourth. And then four formless, 1, 2, 3, 4 as well. So the origin, the sutra that Biling mentioned, sometimes some people refer to that as the origin of human, but in fact it's not really the origin of human. Rather, the sutra describes cycles. Yeah, cycles. 沉住坏空. So, formation, stabilization, this would be decay and void. So in the sutra, it describes these stages of change. Yeah, that just as our physical body, physical things go through stages, where with conditions, then it starts to form, and then it stabilizes, and then it decays, and ultimately disappear. So likewise, the external world that we are in. But the external world goes through a much larger cycle. Yeah, human beings, our lifespan is 100 years old, thereabout, or lesser. Yeah, but how about the physical world? The physical world goes through much longer cycles in terms of kalpas. Yeah, so it describes how if you were to look at the whole set of cycle, then at some point, then there's only the fourth jhana in a the formless world technically don't really get destroyed. Yeah, the destruction comes from the lower of the form of the sensual desire realm, all the way to this, and this. Yeah, the fourth jhana of the form world remains intact. So if we take that as a so-called start of a cycle, because there's not really a clear delineation to say this is the start. Yeah, because there's always a preceding state. So then it says that at some point in time, in a particular world system, okay, then all the beings are actually in the form world. Yeah, but those beings were not always there. There was a previous cycle where they were from. Okay, so try to follow. Yeah, this is like a story. Then, because they have been around since beginningless time. At some point, some of the beings from the fourth jhana world, their lifespan dwindles and comes to an end. When the lifespan comes to an end, what happened? The agitation of the mind connecting with the third jhana world start to stir. The mental states connected to the lower states start to stir. And when they so-called die, it is when the seeds for the third jhana world ripen. Then in their mind, it starts to surface the features of third jhana world. And when that happens, their karma would also manifest the habitat in which they would live in, and they would delight, and they would get reborn in that place. Then there will be another period of time where these two, 4 and 3, is stable, and then they just stay as it is for a long time. And then at some point in time, the beings in the third jhana world, once again, they expire. Yeah, their lifespan come to an end. Meanwhile, some of the number 4 also come to number 3, but number 3, then they start to have the seeds of second jhana world ripen, and then they come down here. Yeah, so it is this particular realm, jhana 2, that's where the Guan Yin Tian is. Yeah, so this same process will to repeat itself. Repeat until all the form realm is established. All the form realm is established. At this point, sensual desire realm still don't exist. So this is for one world system. Other world systems may have their own cycle. Okay. Then the 欲界顶天, so the heavenly realm beings in the sensual desire realm don't exist yet. Then some of the beings, they are about to pass away from the form world. By default, beings in the form world has deep concentration, whereas for those in the sensual desire realm, due to the affliction of desire, the mind is, what do you call that? Distracted, not focused. So when you try to meditate, if you find that it's not easy to meditate, you know why. But some people, they never learn meditation before. They just sit, So my teacher said that maybe for some of this, just a few lives before came from the higher realm. So very easy, sit down. Or maybe they have been practicing for a while. Then for most people, sit down can meditate a bit difficult. The mind all over the place. Keep thinking about wanton mee lah, and just now got popiah lah. Think about popiah lah. Yeah. So what happened? If you consider this process of like the different realms appearing, how can we understand it? Considering earlier on when you were meditating, maybe there were moments where you were sitting quite comfortably. And as long as you are sitting comfortably, then as far as you are concerned, then you are able to sit comfortably without much thoughts. And you don't feel a need to move, you don't feel a need to open your eyes, you're not distracted, not so much anyway. But at some point in time, when your effort and energy has waned, that means decline to the point where you don't connect well with this state. With what state? The state of boring. If you are having a good time meditating, it's not boring. You can sit for half an hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour, 1.5 hours. Not boring at all. A long time can pass and you feel very at ease. But when your mind is not in line, not connecting with a meditative state, you sit for a while, your mind keep on feeling unsettled, restless. Your mind will be restless. Why? Because the seeds that is ripening is not connecting with concentration. So what happened? You quickly peep. You check your watch, check your handphone, you peep. The clock is there, you cannot turn around. So then when you check, only 5 minutes. Feels like a long time already. So the moment you open your eyes and you move, you are back to sensual desire realm. So in the same way, like just now when I describe it, it seems like something quite magical. But actually nothing magical. It is something that actually is a logical process. When your mind don't connect with the higher state, then the lower mental state appear, and so then you appear in the lower state. To the point where those beings that is going to so-called move from form world to the sensual desire realm, in the form world, in them there's zero sensual desire. Sensual desire in the sense that they don't pursue the pleasure through the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body. So they are not interested in pursuit of material pleasure. But when their lifespan is ending, then they will start to be dissatisfied. They will not connect with that bliss in the concentration. They will start to feel restless. Then they seek satisfaction from something else. From what? Sensual desire. It's just like you are at home and at first you sit, maybe for the first 15 minutes you're having a good sitting. Second 15 minutes you start to Then the third 15 minutes you start to think about going to get a snack. Yeah. So what Bi-Ling mentioned is the text described that then the heavenly beings, some of them start to appear in the sensual desire realm, and when some of the beings from the second jhana, their point where their lifespan is going to end, and then their karmic seed to be reborn as human is starting to stir. Then they will start to have interest to go down and take a look, to come to the human realm and take a look. And the description is that at the early stage, the earth is covered by a layer that is like, this is the description. Don't ask me why it's described this way, okay? I also don't know why. They describe it like the curd, like it's like yogurt, you know. So they describe that the whole earth is covered with a layer of nutriment, where the heavenly beings come, they just have to reach down, and then they can eat it. And it's very, very flavorful. It's like the cow milk curd. When you take fresh milk, you boil it, then there's a layer, very thick and creamy. Some description like that. So hard to imagine. I also cannot imagine. So I don't know how it's like and when this was, but the text is saying that. Then it says that as they consume more, their physical being become heavier and heavier. Because they are connecting more with sensual pleasure, because it's a pleasure of the senses. And as they consume in this way and it becomes grosser and grosser, the description is that their natural light start to wane. They stop radiating light themselves. Then at some point they describe how the early form, there's no gender, no man and woman. And it's after they start to give in to desire, that they have desire, then the genders start to become distinct. So Buddhist worldview is quite different from our current worldview. Our current worldview is we are men and women, and that's why we act in a certain way. The Buddhist text is saying it's because of the way we are, that we take on this form. So this is the closest to a description of how men come about. But technically, it is still, so this description not describing the origin of human. Why? Because before this cycle, there was a previous identical or similar cycle. So by origin, it is always talking about the first set. In the Buddhist teaching, there's no first human. For that matter, there's no first sentient beings in this. According to what the Buddha observed, sentient beings, we have been around since beginningless time. When he tried to observe sentient beings, they observe how he observed how they were born and how they grow, they do this, they do that, and then they die. Then he also observed how after dying they get reborn again. And likewise, he observed how before they were born there was a previous state. And he observed how in those previous lives they did this, they were called this name and under this family, and they had this action or that action. And preceding that particular life, there was previous life. And when the Buddha observed all the past life, he observed that there's no first past life. There's always a preceding past life. Yeah. And so in the Buddhist teaching, there is technically no such a thing as origin of human or sentient beings. Yeah. There's no such a teaching or a view of the origin of sentient beings. Yeah. Oh. So the title, yeah, I know the title is misleading. You all may have come here thinking that, oh, finally you all can find out what is the origin of human.
So
Yeah.
no evolution.
Huh?
No evolution.
Oh, actually, evolution is not talking about the origin of human being. Yeah, it's the origin of species. Yeah. Okay, good question. Luckily you asked, then I can explain. So how is this linked to evolution theory? So first of all, in brief, what is evolution theory? Do you know what evolution theory is? Actually, I'm sure all of you know more or less what evolution theory is. The trouble is, oftentimes there's a misconception, confusion between what is evolution theory and another family of theories. There's something else called abiogenesis. Genesis, yes. So abiogenesis is not one theory, it is a family of different theories. Okay? What is the difference? This one describes from single cellular, this is not the handphone, single cellular cells to multitude of species, of complex organism. Evolution theory does not explain how life starts. Yeah, if you think it does, sorry, you got the wrong information. If you read somewhere, you go and check what they are really saying. Evolution theory does not explain how life starts. How life starts is explained by a family of theories. Yeah, why do I call it a family of theories, whereas evolution theory is one theory? Because before Darwin formalized his theory, yeah, I think he wrote this paper or book called the Origin of Species or something. Yeah, around that time, there were different other concepts about how come there are so many different species also. Yeah, but abiogenesis is currently still, in a way, well, science is always work in progress. So abiogenesis contains several different and sometimes overlapping theories of how life come or arise from non-life. Yes. So this is what abiogenesis. How life arises from non-life. You all can go and Google. I know some of you give me a 开玩笑, I did my research on this. I mean, I didn't do academic research, but there is such a difference. Okay? Yeah. Online, if you look at a lot of the arguments about creation, sometimes people mix these two. Yeah, sometimes people mix up these two. Yeah. They seem to be related, and in some ways they are linked, but in many ways they are two separate disciplines. Because abiogenesis is talking about how, like this cup, you put this cup here, you leave it here for 1,000 years, it will break down and become smaller parts. It doesn't become more complex part. It doesn't start to move by itself and ask you whether you want to drink tea or not. Yeah. But what we observe is, okay, if life, now we know that there's life already, but at some point, was there no life on Earth? And if there was no life on Earth, and then later on there's life, what happened? What brought about that transition? Yeah, so some of the theories that I know of is they try to go down to the single cellular cell, and then they look at the, don't know how many types of the building blocks, yes. So they have done studies and surveys of volcanic sites in particular, because those closely approximate the early Earth state. Yeah. So they have a lot of different concepts. Yeah. So you know about that part, right?
Yeah. So that's why they find that the ribosome, the DNA that is inside the mitochondria and the chromosomes is similar to those that is in the bacteria.
Yes. So that one even more cheap. So for more information later, we can sit down with her, consult her. Yeah. So how can I bring in evolution theory and abiogenesis?
Because I asked, then there's no evolution.
Yes.
Buddhist concept.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. So this is the thing. Evolution theory describes single cell to multiple species.
Natural selection.
Yes.
Survival of the fittest in the environment.
Yes. So there are some Buddhists who say that evolution theory actually opposes the teaching, and so they reject evolution theory. There are some Buddhists I know. Yeah. Personally, if somebody asks me, but nobody asked me, like if somebody asks me, does it oppose? Or since you asked me, so personally, I also don't know. Yeah.
Buddha would say it doesn't really matter.
Personally, I also don't know what Buddha will say. Yeah. The reason why I tell you I don't know is, number one, I don't know whether any of the theories for abiogenesis is correct. According to the scientific evidence, evolution theory is sound, yeah, until proven otherwise. But as it is, with the current evidence, this is very clear. Yeah, there's a lot of vestigial parts that we have that is common in so many different animals that unless you are talking about somebody who purposely play a prank on us, create you all in the same way. Yeah. So, but I still say that for the most part, I don't know. Why? I don't even know how I come about in this life. I mean, my parents said that my mother gave birth to me, but we don't have video nowadays, ma. I mean, last time, nowadays we have video, then they take record, then the head come out, right? Yeah. But even then, how do you know for sure that that video is you? Correct or not? Unless you do an uninterrupted recording. Record all the way until this very moment. And then you watch all the way. Then you know for a fact, really, indeed, that baby is me. Yeah. But that aside. To me, I often tell people this. Buddhism is actually less concerned, about how life started, or for that matter, how the species come about. Buddhism is more concerned about how suffering starts. We are also less concerned about how the world come to an end. We are more concerned about how suffering can end. So to me, I'm personally, I'm all for evolution theory. Yeah, because from the scientific evidence is like, unless you can prove otherwise, why should you reject it, right? Yeah. But I want to perhaps address why some Buddhists are a bit uncomfortable with this. Their premise is, the 6 realms is quite fixed. So if the 6 realms is fixed, then it cannot be evolving from one another. Yeah, because evolution theory is human beings evolved from early primates. So then it seems like human evolved from animal realm, then seems to be a cross in the realm. But if you really look at the teachings on the different realms, there are also description of human beings that is very unlike human beings now. Yeah. And if you look at enough of the even Nikayas, especially if you just look at Nikayas, not Mahayana teachings, you find that the delineation, the demarcation of this realm across the other realm is not as clear-cut as we like to think. Yeah, it's not. For example, this description of Ye Cha, Yaksha. Yeah, what is Yaksha? Are you familiar? Yaksha? You see, so what is Yaksha?
Half human, half animal, right?
Half ghost, human. So if you look at the description, is that some texts describe them as like ghosts, and they feast on human beings. But then some texts seem to imply that it's referring to some barbaric tribes that are, cannibals. Yeah. And if you were to go further, then the description of human in the northern continent, the eastern western continent, and we on the southern continent, the description can vary so much, that you have to ask yourself, what does it mean to be human? Yeah. I'm personally of the opinion that when there are conditions, then certain state of existence can come about. And when it falls roughly in this range, we call that human. When it falls under slightly over to this other range, we call that animal. And so on. Yeah. It's not so much like a digital, like clear line cut like that. Yeah. But more like a range. Yeah. In which case then I don't see a conflict with the evolution theory. So as I said, more important to consider instead of asking ourselves, where did we come from? Maybe some of us past life also human. Maybe past 100 lives also human. Maybe some of us a few lives ago animal realm. Maybe some of us 2 lives ago heavenly realm. That's why I don't like to talk. Because in this, like some of the higher realm here, right? Speech, the way we humans communicate. So my teacher said that. So some, but this is speculation, because in the sutra there's no mention about 自闭症, okay. But my teacher did mention about how maybe some today we say that they have a condition, but maybe because they are just reborn from some of the other realms where they don't actively communicate the way we do, so they are quite happy to just dwell in their thoughts. They delight in thoughts. So and seem to describe, seem to match with modern medical description, isn't it? Yeah. It's just that our idea of human beings is quite constrained. So you are a bit out, then we say you got a medical condition. Why you don't talk? People talk, why you don't talk? You must talk. Come, boy, come and come talk. Jialat. Yeah. Maybe the trouble is we are too confining, in the way we look at ourselves and others. Yeah. We're not so used to seeing someone who is different from us. Because in fact, if you think about it, human is just human. Why are there races? Why are there nationality? It's simply artificial boundaries, isn't it? Yeah. Then if we can see things in a more, inclusive manner, then we ask ourselves, maybe we shouldn't think about origin of human being, but the cyclical existence of sentient beings. Maybe we should give it a twist, 众生日, Then future generation, they can still 捞余生, can still wish each other good luck, whatever, but not just good luck to human beings, good luck to everybody, You think about it, Chinese New Year, do you ever see like birds? This one Chinese bird, that one Malay bird. No way. Yeah. Maybe we should twist it. It's just like a few days ago there was the Valentine's Day, right? Yeah. So I saw the reminder from Facebook that 9 years ago I decided not to send anything. Yeah. So I reposted that. Yeah. Then I call it Meta Day. Yeah. Because just like this 人日, very confining. Although of course we can say that,初一 is chicken lah,初二 is dog. Then how about giraffe? Giraffe not here, how? Sometimes some of this early description, right, actually tells us a lot more about us, about the knowledge, that is common in those days. Because these are common animals. Yeah? You see no rhinoceros, no shark, no guppy fish, and for that matter no fish, only land animals, no birds also. Chicken is a form of a type of birds, but non-flight. Yeah, so throughout Buddhist history, whenever Buddhism reached a new country, we have done a few things. One, we try to harmonize with the local culture. Buddhism is not a religion where we try to displace culture. We don't. We don't. We try to harmonize, and we try to help the local culture in a way become better. So, for example, Chinese, even before Buddhism, is very into filial piety. So the masters kind of like highlighted a lot of the teachings that is to do with filial piety. Doesn't mean that Buddhism doesn't talk about filial piety or only talk about filial piety. But you look at Chinese Mahayana Buddhism, there's a lot of emphasis on filial piety. Why? Because Chinese like it. So highlight on that. So next year 初七 we celebrate 众生日. Then jialat, SGC kena ban. But this is undeniable. 女娲, nobody can openly stand up and say, no, this is true. Who dare to say that? Who can say that 女娲 is correct? You can say that, okay, we respect the Chinese culture, but we cannot say that this is Buddhist teaching. I mean, 讲不过去咯, 讲不过去. So today is 初几啊? 十几? 13 哈? 13. So for all intents and purposes, Chinese New Year over already. In Singapore, after the first week, by right 15 lah. So 2 more days. But So I hope that today's session give us a bit of food for thought. Not trying to destroy Chinese culture. I also Chinese. Yeah. But even being Chinese, what does it mean to be Chinese? 无有少法可得. Yeah. Even is there Chineseness in us? Yeah. Is there something inside us that this is the Chinese in us? Also no. Yeah. Dependent on conditions. Yeah. I think there are some parts of Chinese culture that is very beautiful. Yeah. That is beneficial for ourselves and others. Yeah. We should bring it up. There are certain parts which maybe serve a purpose in the past, but no longer serve a purpose today. It doesn't mean that we should just eradicate them, but we should respect it with understanding. Yeah. Otherwise, we will end up blurring the lines, and then before you know it, everything also can. Okay, if there's no other thoughts or questions, any thoughts or questions? If not, put our palms together. 愿消三障诸烦恼，愿得智慧真明了，普愿罪障悉消除，世世常行菩萨道。阿弥陀佛，起立。